Meeting is being live streamed.
So
Got
it
it.
is.
Well, I guess we're live. I don't know what exactly is processing. There it is. So we are live. Welcome to Saturday Showtime. It is now August. All of a sudden, crazy to think of that again. But we are now present in August, and it is the month, and it's our anniversary month too, which is always kind of a fun thing to think about. Last year we did a big blowout show for our 10-year anniversary. We're not doing that this year. It was very fun, but it was a lot of work, and there's a lot of Zoom fatigue happening in the world. So we're going to be looking forward to the future as we turn 11, or as we enter our 12th year as a company. We're now fully a 501c3 nonprofit, so if you support our work or donate to us, you can write it off on your taxes. Speaking of which, you can do that on Patreon, patreon.com/the Fourth Wall Ensemble, or you can just leave us tips on YouTube. Not YouTube, PayPal, the other one, YouTube. But we're excited to share some stuff. The world is opening back up for us. We've got some exciting shows coming up and some stuff that we already did. At the end of June, we had our first live show back together at Opera House Arts in Stonington, Maine. This was a postponed gig from 2020 summer, and it was such a delight to get to do it. It was supposed to be outside, but inclement weather pushed us indoors, which is a bit of a shock and a surprise, but we got to play in this wonderful theater, and fortuitously, Hillary decided to set up her phone on a tripod just off stage. So what we thought we'd do today is
I think like right before the show, I was just like,
oh
hey,
yeah,
you guys, I think I might have enough room on my phone. I'll just set it up. Oh, and there's a plug right here so it won't run out of battery during the show. I'm just gonna film the thing from off stage.
yeah. So we chopped up some of the footage, and we've got a few pieces from that to share with you today. A little offstage view. You can imagine you're our special guest sitting in the wings. So we'll start with the thing that we always start with, of course, Chopin's Minute Waltz, performed on hoverboards. Enjoy.
Checking out these new costumes, yeah?
Indeed. And I love how the trombone just pokes in at that last note. We're going to go ahead and do some commentary over this because we show this video a lot. These costumes were designed for us. We got them at the beginning. Well, it was a process from last winter. Neil, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so Quinn Burgess is our costume designer, and it really did start with us just saying, we need something new, we don't need and we eventually sort of landed on the idea of eclectic, sort of vintage circus style. So, of course, many different kinds of fashion choices on display and many different colors. And some of them sort of connecting with each other. So we're not all our own complete, unique universes of fashion. There is some connective.
When we were preparing for this show, I realized that I made the choice to wear heels again. And so having to learn how to ride a hoverboard in heels was step one. And that was a process.
Check out those heels. That's awesome.
Those heels hanging off the back of the hoverboard because I don't know how else to ride it.
It really does look like the safest way to just like actually sort of walk into the hoverboard, but yeah. Stretch those calves.
Except all your weight is in the back. It's fine.
Live applause
Live
was just
applause.
amazing. It was incredible to be back to the world for that. We had such
Getting
a lovely
to
audience
feel
there.
That vibe was amazing afterwards, and just be like, oh, you're right there. It was really great.
And midway through the piece, to hear reactions, to hear people giggling or gasping or whatever, that caught me off guard. I honestly was not prepared for just like the in the moment, authentic reaction that we take for granted, but we have missed so much.
Yeah. Since then, we also had the chance to do a school show. We did a show for a camp in, where are we, Malden? One of the suburbs of Boston, just north of where we all live. Well, Neil and I live far east of where Hillary lives. But it is nice coming back to the world. Later this month, we're going to be at Celebration Barn Theater in Paris, Maine, which is actually, the barn is this amazing place, one of the centers of physical theater work in the country. And they were generous enough to let us use the space for 4 days before that Opera House Arts show. And it was just crucial for us to be able to get ourselves back together, get some new pieces on their feet, remember everything, be bad at things. We used a whiteboard extensively.
Wait, they also had some padding, which was really, really helpful when we were relearning how to do some of our tricks some of our stupid human tricks that y'all have seen us do for years. And because we haven't done any of that, we were kind of nervous about doing that with instruments in hand. But then to have these great crash mats around for the inevitable crashes was such a great feeling of safety. So we could safely get all of this stuff back on its feet.
Space is just magic. And Celebration Barn, I don't know, we can plug them more. They're doing concerts throughout the summer, outdoors on an outdoor stage, so we were actually able to rehearse outdoors on their stage a little bit, test out the hoverboards on a deck to see what that feels like.
Terrifying.
Yeah, we'll be back there.
It works.
We'll be back there 2 weeks from today on August 21st. But they're doing shows every Saturday night outdoors, and there's some great acts that have happened. Some of our friends from Vermont Vaudeville, Brent McCoy did his Real McCoy show back in July. Justin Lander and Rose Friedman, some of the other folks that run Vermont Vaudeville, are doing a show tonight there with a different company they formed called Evicted Vaudeville. I think it's going to be a great one. That's with Tomasz Kubiniak and Tom Murphy, who are just other like amazing clowns in the world. So they're doing really cool stuff, and the barn does these wonderful creative residencies where like people can go learn skills in eccentric performing from Avner Eisner, or like women in comedy, embracing femininity in your work. Just some really incredible workshops that happen for like, about a week. You go there, you live in their cabins. It's super cool. So we'll put a link to Celebration Barn Theater in the streams as we go. Coming up next, I mentioned new pieces. This is one that we've presented a few times on the stream, but the Opera House show was the first time we performed it live for humans all together. So this is Alice Jones's The People Could Fly, which is a beautiful piece that she created as part of her Tiny Efforts series back in early pandemic times. And Alice has become a wonderful friend and colleague. So the piece is written for a single solo instrument. We've added some harmony and accompaniment to it. It was kind of our creation. We developed it somewhat improvisatorily, sort of based on some ideas that I had when I first played the piece, of harmonies that could go with it. But really like being able to work together, be in the space, and just explore the piece and experiment with like what notes work, what gestures happen, how do we create a little ebb and flow of a complemental undercurrent, was really valuable. So Neil and I just kind of had to play and explore and craft our own parts while Hillary took on the melody. So this is the first live performance of our trio interpretation of The People Could Fly. Not really sure what my gesture was at the end of that. It was definitely like pick a letter, but we may have only had one or two left.
Just one. There was, yeah, right after that we did the last piece in the show, which was Toccata.
Oh yeah, that was such a
Yeah.
nice way to end it.
Yeah, it was so lovely because we had like I mean, if any of you have seen an alphabetical disorder, fruit flies like a banana alphabetical disorder, you know that it tends to go ah a lot because there's so much happening. And then, then there's those moments where everything stops and then it's just this beautiful moment of quiet and contemplate. We try to make that happen at least. Sometimes it happens early on in the show and it's not as effective. But this was really great because this would People Could Fly was the second to last piece, and we kind of had this manic energy for so long, and then there was just this moment, and then we ended with Toccata, which Bach's Toccata and Fugue is very familiar to folks, no matter your experience level with classical Western European classical music. You've heard that theme, so it's one of those nice ones to end on, even though we accidentally ended on it. It's just what happened. So yeah, it's a fun way to end the show.
We've been doing all pandemic a lot of articulating what our process is and what our parameters are. We have a lot of internal systems, like a lot of internal calculations that go into programming a show of what pieces we use, how many,
and internal jokes. And
oh
internal
yeah,
jokes.
yeah, lots of in jokes. Sometimes they slip out. You've probably heard some on these streams. We have no idea when they happen because they're just there, and then they float away into the ether.
I used the term hamburgers at my other job. I was like, oh yeah, we'll just do hamburger A, hamburger B. And they were like, well, we only have one burger on the menu. And I was like, oh no, I did the thing. Sorry. It got awkward.
And to further clarify, when Hillary says the term hamburgers, she is not, in fact, referring to the food. Hamburgers is a term for us. It is a selection mechanism. Do you want hamburger A, hamburger B, or hamburger C? Or perhaps, oh, I want to add another hamburger to that. What if Neil plays that down the octave? Or how about a third hamburger? What if if Greg just covers all of it on vibraphone and we have a moment of space? Hamburgers. Yeah.
It's all about the taste test. And even if you're the one that presented that hamburger, you crafted it perfectly, you had it perfectly, you know exactly which mustard goes with the onions and whatever, like you present this to the group and then we all taste it and then we all go, nope, not quite, what now? And we're just, constantly doing the taste test over and over again until we're all pretty sure what the right balance is.
And then some jerk adds Miracle Whip.
Oh,
what's with
no,
that?
ruined it.
Not Miracle Whip. And then it gets real funny then. So speaking of process.
Speaking of process, we're going to show Tuileries next, which is a piece that we created at the Avaloq Farm Music Center. Another magical place where we've been privileged to create and work a couple times. Oh gosh, we went there twice. I think 15 and 17 were the years that we were there.
No, 14 and
16?
16. Yeah. Yes, I think we created this one was in 16.
So Tuileries is another one of these pieces of Western classical music that is part of the canon, the problematic canon that we intentionally try to play with. For us, articulating things that we do, picking pieces that are super well known, like Bach's Toccata and Fugue in D minor, or these pieces from Pictures in Exhibition. They're just present everywhere. So being able to use them in a creative way to give them new life, give a new perspective on them, is a really fun way for us to invite people into the work, to break that fourth wall and to think of the fourth wall, that invisible barrier between the audience and the performers, not as a barrier, but as a conduit, as like a wonderful water slide that brings them through into the playful world that we create. So, Tuileries.
This one was created in the span, we talk a lot of folks ask, how long did it take you to learn this, that, or the other? Some pieces take months on end, and some of them take very little time. This one, I think, was actually created in a day. we kind of looked at the arrangement and we said, oh, we looked at the piano part for this specific this specific piece, written by Mussorgsky, originally for piano. And we looked at the piano part and we went, oh, well, if Greg just plays basically everything except that one line, and Hillary plays that one line, we're pretty much good to go. That's easy. We'll just do that. And yeah, and then we've had nothing for Neil to do. I don't know why we decided to leave you out. Maybe just Tuileries, it's also known as children quarreling at play, and I guess bass trombones don't mean children. It means quarreling.
We quarrel in a very different way.
We do.
You quarrel like the Montagues in
Yes. You
Romeo and Juliet.
You quarrel with a very large stick. Do you guys remember, how is it that we decided for this one that it was a good idea, bad idea, to have a jump rope?
I think we had extra rope around.
It was good until we tried it.
So the piece that we had before was Beadlow, the ox. So we had all this rope from making the harness,
Right.
that goes on me. I am the ox in Beadlow, and Neil rides me onto the stage, and I pull the vibraphone. It's fun, but I think we had extra rope and was just like, oh, we could do something with this. Was it also we were doing tightrope at the same time? Man on the Burning Tightrope?
We were doing Man on the Burning Tightrope at the same time. Yeah, that's right. That was actually, we did that in 2015, but yeah, it was around the same time.
So we had this prop.
We had a rope, and I think one of you were like, what if we do, quarreling at play? Well, let's think of playground and jump rope. And if Neil's not playing, then he has a hand to be able to turn the rope. And I think, Greg, you were probably like, let's just attach the other end to the vibraphone and let's see if we can get it to turn. And let's just see if you can jump rope. And I could. And then it was, can you do that while playing Tuileries? And I said, I guess I have to learn how. Yeah. And then I think hopscotch got thrown in somehow. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopscotch, ways to argue.
Yes.
As I read the piece, you two are brother and sister. Hillary's the older sister. Neil's the annoying little brother. And I'm like the mom, just kind of, or like the parent. Not the mom. I don't need to throw the gender role into it.
You're the babysitter. You don't care if we fight. You're just there to get paid.
Yeah, I'm the responsible party that's like present at the playground by obligation.
Playing on your phone.
Yeah, I'm totally just messing around on my phone. All right, here it is. Oh, Tuileries.
Oh, Tuileries. I always love the audience's reaction at the end. They're like, oh, and it suddenly, with the vibraphone being dragged away.
One of my favorite bits of sometimes shtick is the audience will like see Hillary step up to the jump rope and just start tittering. And then Hillary will call them out. It's like, yeah, I think it's a bad idea too. It didn't happen in this show.
It didn't, yeah.
But I love it when it does.
It's so great because they're just like, wait, she's gonna do what? And I'm like, I know, I can hear you reacting. And they're like, oh, you can hear me. It's fun.
Yeah. Talking about interactive stuff. One of the other things we have coming up this year, we've actually got a bunch of college stuff coming up. one that I'm especially excited by at the end of the month is we're doing a masterclass for Juilliard for the music, theater, and dance divisions all together, talking about constructing interactive participatory performances. And none of us went to Juilliard. And in fact, we created a version of Fruit Flies Like a Banana called 21 Things They Won't Teach You at Juilliard to thumb our noses at the grand institution. But now we're going to go there and we're going to teach their kids how to do stuff. But we had a great time. What was it, March, February, something. We did our virtual performances, Vibrant Possibilities workshop on Zoom for them, and they were just the coolest students to work with. Really nice insights, really attentive, really with it. So we're really excited to like do more of this, articulating our process, talk about what we do in this lecture demonstration format. We're going to do a full Fruit Flies. We're going to do the show full out, and then we'll spend an hour, maybe probably a little bit more. I'm sure we're going to run long, talking, like really breaking it apart and talking about the inner workings of it, the mechanics, some of the things like, how we develop them, like Tuileries, other things of like why we program certain pieces, why it's important to have that moment of rest that Hillary talked about with People Could Fly, or like the high energy iconic things like this next piece, which we're just going to play without introduction because we never really give it an introduction in a show. But I think we'll go ahead and do some DVD commentary on this one. We'll talk over it because everyone's seen it. Y'all know how it works. We made this one for the Phoenix Theater in Indianapolis when we did their Christmas shows back in the mid 2010s.
This was 2012. This was our first
2012.
Yeah, because Nutcracker
so
was the
long
first
ago.
one. I know, right?
Holy cow. That doesn't even make sense. Here it is.
Tri-Pack is always so great for an encore, but it's so vicious as an encore because you do a full hour and then you jump for a minute. It's unpleasant.
Speaking of jumping, when we came back to rehearsal, I had raised my vibraphone up to have better posture while I play. So this next move took a little bit of remembering that my instrument's now 4 inches higher.
And fun fact, if you want to jump while playing an instrument, the instrument you're playing may dictate what kind of timing is involved. We found that the flute and bass trombone have very different instincts about coping with the stress of hitting the ground.
Yeah, what is it like? You have to, Neil, you have to play your notes in midair or before you jump?
Yeah.
And Hillary, you have to play them like when you take off or land. I forget. There's something there's a difference with like how the.
I think I prefer to land because when I land, I can like hold on to the instrument and tuck it in. But if I'm leaping while, I don't know, it's opposite. And I'm not sure if it's still opposite or if that was like just 10 years ago opposite.
But also just the strategy of how we hold our instruments. Like you found that the flute, if you kind of just anchor it to your face really firmly, helps to maintain that relationship, that embouchure. Trombone, that would be really a bad idea to just slam the mouthpiece into my face and
it's a bad idea for flute too, but I still do it.
That's how you play high notes on trumpet, right? You just push it into your face as hard as possible. The
octave
octave key, the pinky ring.
Yeah.
Inside jokes. Hello, music educators who sometimes tune into our things. We see you.
That was a joke for you.
Yeah.
No, I think also with Tri-Pack, that was the first time we did this joke, I think, of one person bounces and the other one squats down at different times. I think we do it in like La Escoba as well, where we do that, and it's never not funny and it's never not amusing to see people do that kind of motion on opposite sides of the stage. I also enjoyed in that video how much the camera moves from us landing on the stage.
One of the dangers of the camera on a tripod on the side of the stage. We tried to film Tri-Pack for America's Got Talent has reached out to us several times and never followed through. It's frustrating, but whatever. It's a TV show.
Fine.
But they've wanted Trey Pack multiple times and asked us to like film it and set up ways that we might do it. And yeah, just so many times we filmed it in like rehearsal studios or spaces, and just the whole thing shakes, no matter where we are, unless we're like in a theater with a videographer who has their own gear set up in the audience. There's inevitable shaking of Trey Pack, of just the landing, because we are graceful feather light ballerinas all. We float through the air and land like a soft feathery pillow.
Yeah, no.
Yep.
Nope.
So the last thing we have from the show as we bring the world back to life was just such a magical moment for us being able to perform for a live audience again. 8-Track Mind is a piece that we created for the National Flute Association convention back in
2012.
Yeah.
Everything happened in 2012.
I've seen a lot of stuff from 2012. We should have done this show next year, because then it would be the anniversary of all these pieces, the 10-year. So yeah, it's a mashup of 70s pieces. This is sort of the version 2 of it. We call it 8-Track Mind. And we end it with a bit of a sing-along. So we're just going to show you the sing-along because it's fun. It was just so great to hear all these voices of our audience joining us in the performance. It was really fantastic and special. If you want to catch us, we do have shows on the books coming up. So I mentioned Celebration Barn 2 weeks from today, and that's August 21st, and that's in Paris, Maine, which is sort of like Western Maine. And then we're going to be at Juilliard on August 28th. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that will be open to the public. We'll check in, but I think Alice is in Lucerne right now, so she's kind of busy. Alice Jones, the composer of People Could Fly, works at Juilliard and is the one that has been our hookup for these different events. So we're super excited for that. On September 25th, we're performing in New Hampshire at the Capitol Center for the Arts as part of a big arts weekend. We're doing 3 shows in the day at noon, 2, and 4. It's going to be super fun. There's a huge arts event happening all through the town. And we're kind of one of the featured events. So we're really excited about that. Then in November, we head west. We will be in Brookings, South Dakota.
On November 7th.
Yeah, doing events for the Brookings Chamber Music Society and the University of Southern South Dakota, something like that. There's a university there, and we're going to do some school shows. And then we're going to self-produce a few shows in Minneapolis at the Southern Theater, trying to bring in some of our friends from Minnesota Fringe. Minnesota Fringe, by the way, is happening right now. There's a bunch of virtual stuff. I think there's some live things happening. It's a hybrid festival this year, so there's some live things happening. We have Fruit Flies and Friends up on that festival. If you haven't seen it, it's a lovely compilation of lots of video pieces that we've created over the year, many with friends collaborating, some stuff we've created on our own. We also have a bunch of other projects that are related to us in that. A chamber opera that Neil directed as a video piece is up, which he will name now, and also talk about Sputterbox and the Boko Kids.
So I got to work with this great new opera company called Strange Trace, and they created this opera that I directed as a film called October Surprise. So for all of you wondering what goes on in the heads of those who really want to believe about various, spurious things, who knows? It is about conspiracy theories and those who put them out into the world. It's a satire, and it's operatic voices singing to a punk rock score. It's like nothing you've ever seen, and it's really wild and wonderful.
Except if you've been watching the Saturday Showtime streams, you did see part of it 2 months ago.
Yes, we had a little tidbit all about tinfoil hats. And then Sputterbox is another trio of musicians creating interdisciplinary experiences. I got to work with them a couple years ago at Avaloq Farm Music Institute, coaching them on their new ensemble and the way of working. So I collaborated with them on one of the pieces on their program. So, I've had my hands in their work, but yeah, they have a really cool show called Let Me Out of the Box at Minnesota Fringe. Yeah, then former students of mine at Boston Conservatory at Berkeley and the Contemporary Theater program have a show called Pink Crap, which I saw last night and is so delightfully, wonderfully fringy, weird, and awesome. So their comedic chops are awesome. Each of them is so committed to their characters and their roles, and this very nonlinear postmodern approach to, is it a digital show, is it a live show, is it a scripted show, is it testimonial, what is it? Yeah, good questions to ask that don't necessarily get answered, which is delightful.
And that one's a live stream, not on demand, right?
It is a live stream, and there are only 3 performances this weekend, so limited opportunity to see that, but all the other shows are video on demand, viewable through the end of the festival, which is August 15th.
So check out Minnesota Fringe stuff now. If you're in the Twin Cities, come see us in November. The 2 shows that we're doing at the Southern, we're doing a Wednesday night and a Thursday night. For us, we're trying to leverage it as a great opportunity to be in a theater that we like, with people that we like, with audiences that we know are receptive and fun. We really want to get good video. So that's what we're doing. We'll be hiring a videographer and a photographer to shoot the show so we can have new promotional materials with the new costumes, thanks to Quinn, and just make ourselves look real shiny and fancy as we expand our reach as a nonprofit through granting to try to get more opportunities to fuel the organization, but also just go more places. In the new year, we'll be in Memphis and Alabama and Texas on a 3-college tour. Texas State University, San Marcos, University of Memphis is bringing us out for a major residency, one of the biggest residencies we've had so far. Huge thanks to Bill Schultes for that, and Ada Tolan Jones in Texas. And then the University of Alabama is also going to bring us out for a couple of days. So we'll have a little bounce around. Then in March or April, we're going to be back in Minnesota. April, yes, first weekend of April for the Midwest Flute
Upper Midwest Flute Association. Yeah. We'll be doing a show and masterclass and workshop for them, and I think a little trip down to St. Olaf College for a masterclass down there as well, and then hopefully over to Indianapolis
to do some shows at the District Theater.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll need to keep pinging Pauline about that, but she's excited to have us, and we're excited to make something happen at the District.
Excited to be back in Indy. All of our friends there, excited to see you all again. But bringing the fruit flies you know and love back to you, and sharing all that fun stuff with you.
So speaking of sharing all that fun stuff, if you want to sing along, this is the sing along section of 8-Track Mind. You can do it in your homes. We will hear you in our hearts, because we thank all of you for joining us. Those of you who check out any of these streams every month, we really appreciate it. It's meant a lot to have such a strong community. Tell your friends, help spread the word about us. If you want to support our work, again, Patreon, PayPal, you can support us in various ways. Also just sharing our work. If there's a performing arts center in your town, point their programming people to us. Help us make connections. We want to go around. My mother-in-law has done a wonderful job of sending me many emails for connections. So thanks, Kathy. I do follow up on them. We have yet to make a full connection yet that results in a show, but we keep working on it, and someday we'll get to Greenville. So here is the sing-along from 8-Track Mind, and I think we'll probably just sign off after this. So thank you all for joining us. Here it is. Sing along if you care.
shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shake your booty. Shake your booty. Come on now. Shake, shake, shake. Shake,
Thank you all for joining us. This has been your Saturday Showtime. Happy August, everyone. We'll see you in September.